This evening, City Council is meeting in regular session. We do have a quorum with, I believe we had all members of council here. No.
He's not here.
We have 6 of 7 members present. Communications, Member Fall.
Thank you, President Bias. I'd like to move that we reappoint Dr. Robert Woodworth to the Athens City County Health Board. Second.
This is a reappointment, I understand.
Yes.
He presently serves on the City County Board of Health.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Woodworth, Dr. Woodworth, I should say, for agreeing to serve another term. We are in receipt of a liquor transfer permit. Well, no, this is a new permit going to Peter Williams, doing business as Pete's BP at 542 Richland Avenue in Athens. So this will be on file with the clerk if anyone wishes to comment on it. We also have a notice of a public hearing. Athens City Council will hold a public hearing at 7 p.m. Monday, November 21st in council chambers. The hearing is to consider the Planning Commission's recommendation to amend the Athens City Zoning Code Section 230313, our sign regulations. Anyone wishing to come to council, again, it's Monday, November 21st at 7 p.m. I also am in receipt from the United States Postal Service an opportunity for public input to be given. This is on September 15th. We notified you we were beginning an area mail processing feasibility study at the Athens Customer Service Mail Processing Center. The Cincinnati District Office has completed its review and submitted it to the Eastern Area Office for consideration. We welcome public input and will hold a meeting to explain the proposal on November 21st, 7 to 9 p.m. at Athens High School Auditorium, number 1 High School Road in the Plains. So anyone wishing to understand better the proposal should go there. Are there any other communications anyone wishes to share? Reports and communications from other elected officials. Mayor Weil.
Quick question. Did you do the minutes? Did I miss that? Deposition minutes?
I skipped right over that, didn't I?
Okay. I'll let you do that first. Okay.
No, I'll let you do yours first.
Okay. Thanks for the reappointment there. A couple of things coming at us. Let's see where I start. First of all, the Zoning Board of Appeals, which normally would meet tomorrow, will meet the 15th of November. That's next Tuesday at 7 o'clock. That's because we have an election happening and this place will be filled up with poll workers, etc. So just to let everybody know, the BZA is changing its date 1 week back. 7 o'clock, same place, and as I say, November 15th. November 16th, the City Planning Commission is going to have an evening meeting, 6:30 at the Community Center. We're looking for input of the rezoning for the East State Street area, north of East State Street. There's been discussion about rezoning some of the R2 to R1 duplex to residential, single family. We're looking for some input from the citizens there. There was also discussion of moving some of the lines, the zoning line for the B3. I don't know if that will be a topic or not. But again, because it's important, we felt that we should have an evening meeting. So that would be November 16th. That would be the Wednesday next week. November 17th, AP is going to have a meeting about tree trimming issues. That will be the Thursday at 7 o'clock at the Community Center. You just covered the postal one, and of course there's actually, on the next page has their evaluation. There will be a Veterans Day parade coming at us Friday, of course, so just be aware downtown will be have a parade going through it between about 10 o'clock to about noon. That will be 11/11/11, Friday. Veterans Day, and as a result, the city offices will be closed. I also, if you go to the city website, there is we're having that JPAC, which is the Joint Police Services Advisory Commission, between Chief Powers and Chief Pyle, between OUPD and NPD. We're getting that rolling. I'm accepting letters of interest for our representatives. This would be a city representatives will include the Service Safety Director, Police Chief, a city council representative, 2 members of neighborhood associations, a Chamber of Commerce member, some at-large members representing service community and commuter community, which means somebody out of town if they choose to have interest, victims advocate, minority or disability representative. If anybody has an interest, send me a letter of interest and we'll go from there. Let's see. And I think the last thing is I got information of an email from Kara Conley of HAPCAP. This is the 1-year anniversary of the Go Bus. At this point, let's see, the final passenger count for October was 5,361 passengers. In the whole year, between November 1st, 2010 to October 31st of this year, they've had 26,404 passengers. So they're going great guns. Average rider per day is about 72. Average rider per month for the year is about 2,200. So it's going swimmingly, I guess, just to let you know. And I think it connects us pretty well with the rest of the country. And that's all I really have. Oh yeah, still working on the budget, so get that pulled together. I need an informal meeting with you sometime and finance personnel when you get a chance.
Questions or comments for the mayor? Yes, Member Paul.
I get a lot of comments about the Go Bus, and I think that people love it, especially people going up to the airport. And, you know, to some degree, it was kind of taking a chance on doing it and getting those grants, but that's the sort of thing that makes Athens, you know, Athens, and kind of going on to connect us and make it more viable down here. I think it's great. So I'm happy to hear the number. That's great. It's amazing.
And actually, again, I have to give a lot of credit to Hocking Athens Perry County Community Action. I did mention a while back that we'll probably be talking to them about administering our Athens Transit, since they seem to be so gung-ho on this one in terms of marketing. Probably that would be something for the next committee meeting, since I want to get that rolling as soon as possible. Okay.
Thank you.
Did I not also see that we're going to expand another one to Cleveland?
Actually, I think they're going to have a public meeting. I saw in the paper last week, I haven't gotten all the particulars. December 5th is the public hearing about extending it to Marietta, which will put that access to I-70 access in play. But they are right now, you can jump from Columbus to Cleveland. That's part of the desire was to get into connectivity with all the other cities in Ohio and the United States. So they're working on it. They're as I say, gung-ho. I'm very go bus. You know?
Yes, Member Sands.
It was the first time I'd been in a homecoming parade with a bus. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Very good. City Auditor Kathy Heck.
No report.
City Law Director Patrick Lang. No report. Let's move on to ordinances for third reading. Ordinance 111, we broke the barrier. An ordinance authorizing design engineering of the wastewater treatment plant improvements and authorizing an interfund transfer, project number 248. Councilmember Bain.
Mr. President, move adoption of 111.
Second.
111 is an ordinance that will allow the city engineer to go out and hire an engineering firm to do the wastewater treatment plant improvements. We've been talking about this a long time. I think another barrier is the price, although I don't know for sure. But it's up there. It's one of the most expensive things we've done, I think. It's up there.
It's up there.
Second barrier broken, maybe.
Motion and a second. Further comments? All those in favor of adoption of ordinance 111? Aye. Opposed? The ordinance has been adopted. Ordinance 10111 is an ordinance authorizing design engineering of the Joneswood, Riverview, and Terrace water line replacements and other distribution system improvements. Again, Member Bain.
Mr. President, this time I'd like to move to amend 10111 as follows. We would like to increase, at the request of the city engineer, increase the appropriation ordinance amount to $68,000, authorizing the expenditure to $68,000, and declaring an emergency to hasten to allow this process to go on. It's an emergency measure necessary for the preservation of health, welfare, and safety of the residents of the city of Athens to meet an EPA design plan review deadline. There's the key term, I guess. So it'll be in full force as soon as the mayor signs it. And We also had some discussion about this. Actually, Askeland was doing its thing. I don't know what else went on. The street was closed. I hope it's still there. But anyway, Joneswood Engineering, we're increasing this because we're also doing some, a little bit change in scope. And the scope change will include the Union, Harris, McGuffey, Ransom, some work down there, and the total cost, now we're only doing the design engineering, but the total cost on that is going to be substantial, but mainly it's because of this change, trying to meet the deadline at the EPA with this. But there is, it's not just $18,000 more.
Amendment as proposed. All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ordinance 10111 has been amended. Member Bain.
I move adoption of 10111.
Second.
I believe
I think yes.
we need
Oh, I
to
should
suspend the
suspend,
rules
sorry.
first. Yeah.
I think by now I'd know. All right, Mr. President, I'd like to move to suspend the rules on 10111.
Second.
The reason for the suspension is that we must meet an EPA deadline with respect to having this approved in order to go forward and get the money as needed.
Further discussion on suspension only. All those in favor of suspending the rules?
Aye.
Opposed? The rules have been suspended.
And now we move adoption of 10111.
Second.
We talked about this before. It's going to be quite a job, I'm afraid. Joneswood Riverview Terrace, some parts of it have had serious slips. We're working on, as you know from the street tour, the upper side of it, water line replacement and other distribution improvements. And then, of course, there's quite a steep area on Terrace. Riverview is parallel to Joneswood for the most part. So that'll be another section of town with important water line replacement efforts. Primarily, I think you could also think of this as an investment in reducing slip, because if there have been numerous breaks. I myself, in the middle of the night, walking dogs have called them in between the water line and the gas line quite often, several times a year. So stabilizing these is important. More information than you needed.
I remember a time that our city tour of streets, we went over a break right on Terrace, and
Yes.
you called it in then. So further discussion on adoption of ordinance 101. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ordinance has been adopted. Ordinance 10211 is an ordinance levying special assessments for sidewalk improvements associated with the Mill Street project and declaring an emergency. Member Bain.
Mr. President, we move adoption of 10211.
Second.
10211 is one of the final items to be done in the Mill Street project. I think that project went exceptionally well, and the improvements are there for the increased density there. And now we have to pay for the sidewalk improvements. The sidewalks are quite nicely done at this point in time, so time to pay, to actually put the assessments on.
Time to charge.
Time to charge, yes.
Further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 102 has been adopted. Ordinance 10311 is an ordinance affirming the mayor's execution of a subrogation agreement with the city's mortgage with Travis Stevens and Laura Farrell for the real estate located at 23 Hanlon Avenue. Member Sands.
Mr. President, I move adoption of ordinance 10311.
Second.
This is a little bit unusual. City Council usually approves these subordination agreements. This came up during our August recess, and Laura Farrell needed to put the property in her own name and have it refinanced. So this allows the city, which has put some money into that dwelling, to take second position behind the Ohio University Credit Union. So we're just approving this action, which has already been done.
Is there further? Mayor Weil.
And again, this has to do with that CHIP grant, House Down Payment Assistance Program. This is something obviously was in the program a couple of years ago, and it's a question of refinancing it. And again, it's going through HAPCAP to look at this. and make sure it's done promptly. So they presented paperwork to me in August, and I said, let's go with it.
Okay. All those in favor of adoption of ordinance 10311?
Aye.
Opposed? The ordinance has been adopted. Ordinance 10411 is an ordinance amending the 2011 appropriation ordinance. Again, Member Sands.
Mr. President, I move adoption of ordinance 10411.
Second.
Again, remember that we're seeing this ordinance for the first time early in October. These were funds that were recognized as being necessary during the time that City Council was on break during August. So there's quite a bit happening in this ordinance. We're moving around quite a bit of money, $15,000 to underage drinkers fund, $10,000 to recreation, $30,000 to the parking garage fund for more energy efficiency improvements, $10,000 to the water admin fund, $10,000 to sewer maintenance fund, and several other movements of money that we've talked about already. So this large ordinance is the effect of needs that were recognized in August.
Further discussion on ordinance 104. All in favor of adoption of the ordinance?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 10411 is adopted. Ordinance 10511 is an ordinance authorizing the auditor to reduce the 2011 year-end appropriation. Who is speaking to this?
Mr. President, I move that we accept ordinance 10511. This ordinance does just as it says. It authorizes the auditor's office to reduce appropriations to zero at the end of the year. In times past, council used to do that, and it was a large nightmare traffic jam kind of thing. And so several years ago, the auditor asked us to make this authorization. So we are doing it for about the third time.
Very good. Further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 105 has been adopted. On to ordinances for second reading. Ordinance 10611 is an ordinance approving a planned unit development on Hickory Street and granting a variance. Ordinance 10811 is an ordinance declaring property on Alexander Street no longer needed for a municipal purpose and authorizing the mayor to donate land parcels to the Athens County Habitat for Humanity. Ordinance 10911 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Athens to execute an agreement with Grand Vista Village LLC for a permanent utility easement. Ordinance 11011 is an ordinance authorizing repair of the Grosvenor Street slip.
Mr. President, at this time I'd like to move to amend 11011 and add an emergency clause that says that this ordinance, this would be a new section, this ordinance shall be an emergency measure necessary for the preservation of health, welfare, and safety of the residents of the city of Athens in order to preserve existing infrastructure in the area. And it will be in full force and effort upon its passage and approval by the mayor.
Did we have a second on the amendment?
I launched it.
Okay. Further discussion on the amendment only. All those in favor of the amendment as stated?
Aye.
Opposed? The ordinance has been amended and read for the first time.
Mr. President, at this time I'd like to move to consider 11011 under suspension of the rules.
Second.
We have a bit of a time constraint on this with respect to purchasing some needed IVs to maintain that infrastructure we talked about earlier. So it's a time thing.
Motion and second on suspension of the rules. Further discussion on suspension only. All those in favor of suspension?
Aye.
Opposed? The rules are suspended.
I move adoption of 11011.
Second.
11011 is a long-standing Grosvenor Street slip repair. I'm delighted that the administration has chosen to do this work. I think it'll improve the neighborhood situation there. It's needed. and it's been needed for a while. And I want to thank those people out there who voted to pay a little bit extra tax, because this is one way we're spending it, the slip. So as that tax winds down and our numbers diminish, we did take care of quite a few things. I guess everything that we passed up on that blue sheet last year, so.
Very good. Other comments?
I just
Yes.
might add
Member
that-
Butler.
Thank you. I think I just might add that on my first term in office, on our tour of the streets, we were looking at the Grosvenor slip, so it's nice to see something happening.
Takes a while though sometimes, doesn't it?
Find the money.
Yeah. Other comments? All those in favor of ordinance 11011?
Aye.
Opposed? The ordinance has been adopted. Ordinance 11211 is an ordinance amending the 2011 appropriation ordinance with, second reading. Got it. Ordinance 11311 is an ordinance authorizing the Service Safety Director to enter into contract to upgrade the city's computer networking systems and declaring an emergency. Member Bain. I understand we may need to suspend on this one.
Let me throw that over to
Member Sands.
Mr. President,
Whoever wishes. Just so somebody
at
does.
this time, I'd like to ask that we suspend the rules on ordinance 11311. This suspension is so that the upgrade to our computer system can happen more quickly than we thought was necessary.
I had a blank out, but I can add something to it. Remember, we have to get a license as well by the end of the year. So it's the second reason to move on this.
So we have
But I
two
was
reasons.
totally blanking.
Okay.
And it's a time thing, as we said earlier.
It's a time.
It's a time.
Ordinance 11311 under suspension of the rules, please.
Motion and second. Further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The rules have been suspended.
Mr. President, I move adoption of ordinance 11311.
Second.
Again, this allows this repair work to be done to our computer system, which was suffered damage in a storm not too long ago. And since we are going to another bandwidth, we require a new license, so that has to happen before the end of this calendar year.
Other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ordinance has been adopted. I did do that right, didn't I? Yes. Okay. Ordinance 11511 is an ordinance declaring a city vehicle no longer needed for a municipal purpose. Ordinance 11611 is an ordinance amending the Athens City sign regulations. We now move on to ordinances for first reading. Ordinance 11711 is an ordinance amending the Athens City zoning code, Title 23, to include off-street bicycle requirements. Member Fall.
Thank you. We've talked about this, and we also had a public hearing on it, October 17th. And as many people have complained about the fact that we are trying to increase our pedestrian and bicycle access and facilities for users. And one thing that people have always kind of commented on is that there's not very much bicycle parking. So this would change the zoning code, Title 23, Chapter 23, 1.10.01, to change the definition of bicycle parking, actually to put in the definition of bicycle parking, and to insert a table on off-street bicycle parking requirements for commercial, retail, restaurant, and multi-unit residential, 3 units and greater, so that they would have to facilitate safer, more secure bicycle parking for people who increasingly are using bicycles in Athens.
Other comments? Mayor Weil.
The point out, of course, this is coming out of Title 23, went to the Planning Commission. This represents any new construction, of course. Old construction is, of course, grandfathered in unless it becomes non-conforming with additional improvements, I think over 65% or so. I mention that because some people come to me and say, can we get bike racks here, here, here? But in terms of businesses, most businesses are responsive to their needs. If you go in and say, we would like bike racks, and enough of you get together, there'll be a conspiracy or whatever there is, but it's the power, again, the power of the purse will change those things retroactively if you choose to do that. So this is an option, but this is also a starting point right here.
Other comments? On to ordinance 11811, an ordinance amending the 2011 appropriation ordinance. Member Sands.
Mr. President, actually, I'd like to ask that we suspend the rules on ordinance 11811.
Do we have a second? We don't have to. You told me earlier we did. You lied.
No, we don't have to amend.
Oh,
Suspend.
suspend.
Did I say suspend? I meant to.
He said suspend.
We do need to
We
suspend.
were going to suspend and amend.
Yes.
No amendment now. So,
And we have a second.
So,
We have a second.
okay. This ordinance actually has two sections. The first section is appropriating $60,000 to the EPA litigation debt fund to allow us to pay off an EPA litigation that we've been dealing with for several years. Citizens in the city know that there's been a $1 fee on your sewer bill to help pay this down. Also, and so we have taken that off your next sewer bill because we have come to an end for this EPA litigation. So we're appropriating the final money to pay this debt. Section 2 is the one that moves this into suspension of the rules. The appropriation ordinance is further amended by decreasing sewer maintenance fund 750.635 to $35,000 and increasing the same amount to allow sewer repair on a large storm line on Columbus Road. This is a sewer that goes underneath Columbus Road. Our Director of Public Works, Andy Stone, has informed us that it is his judgment that this sewer needs repaired as soon as possible. Maybe the mayor has something to add.
Well, actually, to point out, it did come from TC 100 to 300, so it's really a transfer from one personnel transaction class down to the service.
I'm sorry, I didn't go that
Yeah.
far.
Further discussion on suspension of ordinance 11811.
Well, that's what we're talking about, suspension.
All those in favor of suspension? Opposed? The rules have been suspended.
Mr. President, I move adoption of ordinance 11811 for the discussion that we had earlier.
Okay. Other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 11811 has been adopted. On to announcements and other business. The next, have we here? Oh, we did. We need to jump back to a item that I accidentally skipped over in our agenda, which was item number 2, which is disposition of the minutes from the regular session held Monday, October 21st, 2011. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further comments? All in favor? Aye. The minutes have been accepted. Okay, now on to announcements and other business. I have one announcement. Tomorrow's Election Day. Vote. Do we have committee meetings for next time? Fall?
Finance and Personnel, we will be gathering in the next week. We'll be gathering information about the budget for 2012, and we'll begin our discussions next Monday.
Very good. Other committees? Other comments? Last item on our agenda is an opportunity for citizens to speak to their council on any legislative items or city services that we did not cover on tonight's agenda. Is there anyone wishing to speak before council? Seeing none and having addressed all items on our agenda, we are adjourned.